was a great episode, but that's not good for the series.
Can somebody explain to me
Uh-oh.
what the title of the show was?
The title of the show is The Book of Boba Fett.
Really kind of fucking confused me because I'm pretty fucking sure I didn't see that character in this goddamn series in this episode.
Well, they mentioned him.
Oh, they sure fucking mentioned him. And don't get me wrong, I love Mando. I love Pedro Pascal. That's fucking fantastic. This is supposed to be a limited fucking series, 6-7 episodes of Boba Fett, and all of a sudden we have an entire 50 minutes and 13 seconds when you skip the intro of just fucking Mando. Are you fucking kidding me? Listen, I know that there's a lot of people back and forth about this series. That's perfectly fine. There's things about that I actually kind of agree and digress on. The problem is, and this comes from, again, what I've said already, is from the storytelling perspective. The fact that they've been jumping around on timelines, which is not something you typically see in Star Wars movies anyways.
Not this much,
It's convoluted the present time Boba Fett to move him forward because we don't know really what's driving him. We do. He even said it, but no one seems to fucking remember that because the conversation was a fucking blurb. They want us just to imagine everything and just kind of all of a sudden pick up the small crumbs that they're giving us. Like, I've picked up on it, but not everybody has, and I understand that. And that's frustrating because I have to hear everybody bitch about the fucking show when I'm just trying to enjoy it. But I also kind of agree. Listen, you can't take a character, a legacy character like this, and give him a fucking show, a limited show, 6 or 7 episodes, and then say, gosh, you know what? We're going to give a whole entire episode to another character that doesn't have any relevance to this storyline right now. And furthermore, with that being said, bringing in Mando now fucks up the timeline, which I was talking about again, because now there's this space between him going, I got the dark saber, and here's, Bo-Katan Kryze sitting there going, I can't take it, wah, 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 and Moff Gideon crying over here in the fucking corner. We have nothing of this shit.
But they explain it, but
that's funny. They do in the book of fucking Boba Fett, and not Mandalorian. That's pretty fucking weird, isn't it?
That is a bit odd.
That's pretty fucking weird. I want to know who thought this was a good fucking idea. Listen, having Mando involved is a good idea. Don't get me wrong. That character is great. But at this point, Mando is almost kind of turning into the Boba Fett we didn't get 30-some fucking years ago because we're getting him fleshed out now. People love the aesthetic. We want to see the Mandalorians. We want the excitement. We want to see Grogu. You know, he gives off Grogu to fucking Luke, and now all of a sudden we got to be like, I want to go see him. I miss him. A few months later already, we knew you were getting into.
He spent a whole season going on missions with them.
That's perfectly fine. But did that need to happen in the book of Boba Fett?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
I see what you're
saying. It's almost like they were setting up like Mando going.
It's
forward.
almost like they're using it. Like, we're getting 6 or 7 episodes of this fucking character after 40 fucking years, and they hand off an entire 50 minutes and 13 seconds to another fucking character. Already, when even myself am just like, yo, like, this is not the Boba Fett I expected, which is fine because characters have to evolve. I understand that. That's perfectly fine. You can tell that story, and they're trying to, but they're doing a piss-poor fucking job of doing it because, again, instead of putting things in chronological order, apparently Robert Rodriguez and everybody else just wants to do what Tarantino does and just break it up and do a bunch of fucking flashbacks. We can't see that character evolve properly because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a problem. If we did it for the first few episodes, that's perfectly fine. It was necessary in the first episode, and I will honestly stick to that. After that, it should have been more chronological. Right. It should have just been
move everything forward.
Move everything forward. Or the first 2 episodes, instead of doing that, he's out of the Sarlacc, he's doing this, he's with the Tusken Raiders. Because there's even debates about timelines now. We're pretty sure we figured out the actual timelines of everything. He was probably with the Tuskens for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are just like, well, this is fucking boring. This character fucking sucks. He still sucks. He's not doing anything. You're kind of right. And don't get me wrong, I want to see that character do that. I want to see the Battlefront Boba. I want to see the Boba from fucking I can't even think of the name of the fucking planet in Mando when he puts on his suit for the first time. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, he was up against the wall, so you had to see that Boba Fett. But this Boba Fett isn't the same Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back. He looked death in the face. He became camaraderie with like a native species, a native race of people, and had a better outlook on things, or a different outlook, and wanted to go a different path than his father. That's great character development and storytelling. The fucking problem is that they expect us to do all the dot connecting. And sometimes we don't have the time to do that, especially in a limited series where they give a free fucking episode away to another fucking character.
Right.
Right? And like, listen, like I'm enjoying the series probably more than most just because I love the character. And I feel like just generally from the things that I've either just read or storytelling or how Star Wars sometimes work, I feel like for me, I can connect those dots a little bit, but I don't feel like everybody can. And that's fine. That's not a knock or anything like that. They're leaving too much to like an illusion. And I don't find that okay. And that's the problem because like, listen, I said it day one, like this isn't the series for all of you. This is more for guys like me. But if guys like me are going, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
That's a big fucking problem as well too. If you can't get everybody at some point somewhere on board in a common thread, there's a big fucking problem.
Yeah, if you're going to make a show for a fucking I don't want to say a niche audience, but like a diehard group of people who want to see Boba Fett, how are you going to spend? You have 7 episodes, dude, not 10, not even we don't know if there's multiple seasons of this shit. We know there's multiple seasons of Mando. We know we're getting another season of that. But here's the thing, dude. This is Boba Fett, the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. We're trying to get a story about Boba Fett going forward to improve upon the fucking one-dimensional 3-line character from the mainstream movies. Yes, he's got other parts in more, I don't want to say obscure, but again, only for the super hardcore to know. And you come out with this the series where it's kind of confusing. It's like this identity crisis, like who is this guy? And then you spend a whole episode focusing on Mando.
You spend most of your episodes focusing on the past. Yeah. Again, this is a character that people want to see that's imposing. That name held weight at one time in the stories, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's been many years. The Empire is falling. The world around him and the galaxy has changed. So it makes sense that he's changing as well, too. He wants to do something different. He wants to do something like be a crime lord or whatever it is. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that character not being the same guy on that planet, just taking out transports with a couple fucking missiles and stuff like that. That's fine. But we need to see a good balance of that stuff. We need to be able to see that character's story progress in a good proper way of storytelling.
And over 3 episodes is better than over 2 episodes, because now you only get 2.
Right. And like Arrow, I always go back to that, because Arrow for 4 or 5 fucking seasons, even I was sick of going to the flashbacks back to the island for half the fucking series. But at least that still on the other side of it progressed that character forward in the present time. They have not progressed that character very far in the present time. Mm-hmm. They have not really like he said, I want a tribe, I have something different. He had this revelation with the Tuskens. That's great, but you didn't do a good enough time spending that time in it, because we're just seeing him in flashbacks. And that's where I say the series would have been better had it been chronological, maybe had more episodes, or maybe not give an entire fucking 50 minutes and 13 seconds to a character that's not central to the fucking story. That was a fantastic fucking Mando episode, and yes, debatably one of the best Mando episodes. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure the title said Book of fucking Boba Fett without the fucking.
So now here's my thing, Tone. I mean, we have 2 episodes left, and just as the last episode was ending, it was getting interesting. They're going to start exploring the what Boba was going to do with the Pikes. We had the families lined up. Like, they had an opportunity to really kind of like, because he's like, look, I want you guys to stay out of the way and agree to stay out of the way while I handle this. They could have explored multiple different paths, like how some of the families are, working one another over. You could have gone really like backstabbing Sopranos shit. Mm-hmm. But now you're down to 2 episodes. How much can you cram into this? Not only the family syndicate wars, but the Boba development itself into 2 episodes, dude.
I listen. The end of the last episode, they were in the fucking Slave One, and she's like, "You're gonna need a lot of credits for that," or "I know somebody," blah blah blah. Which again, I'll say, like, he just shot you in the gut a while ago. Like, why you all of a sudden think he's just going to hang out with you again? You know what I mean? Like, well, and this is, like, I get it. Like, it was after, like, they met up at the planet like that, but like, they're acting like they're kind of buddy. Like she had this great revelation. Like, yeah, they helped each other. They moved along, whatever. And that's fine. But like, I just feel like that was a missed opportunity to bring in another character if they were going to do it, and hopefully that's still going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But even if they bring in another character, man, that's going to cut down.
That's still screen time taken away from Boba. But my point is like, when I'm watching this episode, I'm like, okay, so it is Mando. Okay, you were right. Some people were right. They heard the little fucking tune. You know, it was really on the fucking nose. Great illusion there.
Yeah, man,
you
it
know?
took a lot for me to come up with that theory.
Right. But we see Mando what he's doing, and then we get to see the armorer. They're down to 3.
Darksaber.
We haven't even talked about that stuff. Yeah, because Vizsla there, like that, like if you watch Clone Wars, his granddad was a piece of shit and Death Watch guy, and that Darksaber he lost in battle technically to Darth Maul at one point. So there's a whole thing going on there as well too. So when he pulls it out and I see Vizsla standing there, the big fucking Mandalorian there, and I'm like, well, I know exactly.
I thought that was David Bautista.
Knew right away. Right. I knew right. Well, that's John Favreau does the voice for him. I knew right away what was going to happen. I'm like, this motherfucker's going to challenge him. And sure as shit, it happened. So we get to see the armor. There's down to 3 of them. That's cool. Like, they're apparently on a fucking Halo ring. Somebody please explain to me how that got through fucking production on a fucking Halo ring. Okay.
Yeah, dude. That's me. I thought it was like, is this a Halo spinoff?
Yeah, it was pretty weird. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, the last episode, I kept expecting 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, well, eventually they got to show up in the slave one to pick him up, right? They found him, right? Because they made it sound like they were going to go find him, right?
Nope, just Fennec.
You know, and he gets on, like, I don't mind the fact that he doesn't have a ship. He's got to take the little fucking transport, which, by the way, big Easter egg there, and nobody's yet talked about it. I haven't seen Screen Crush quite yet. The droid, that was Star Tours. They literally just brought Star Tours fully from the ride in Disney into the fucking into the Star Wars films.
Wow.
That was actually the ride the original ride from 1988, 1989. Those were the robots, and we've seen them scattered in through things. That was technically Star Tours, that bus that they were taking. That was pretty fucking neat.
That's awesome.
That was one of my favorite. But yes, we get to Tatooine again. Because it's always got to be Tatooine again, right? It's always Tatooine. We got to see sand and everything. It was really cool to see the Nubian fighter that the same style that Anakin as a kid uses to take out the Trade Federation, etc. That was cool. I love. Is it Amy Sedaris? Is that my saying that right? Sedaris. I think she's fucking hilarious. Even like
Pelimato or whatever.
She's like, I dated a Jawa once. They're really
They're
hairy.
furry.
That whole bit. That might not have landed with everybody, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. I thought it was fucking great. But the whole thing, outside of pretty cool Easter eggs, because I'm trying to bring balance after all my vile dark side at the beginning, we got to see a live-action BD droid.
That was awesome, yes.
Yes, you remember that's from? A game you didn't beat. We got to see a BD droid live-action. That was really fucking cool. So... but there was some great Easter eggs. Come full circle at the end with the New Republic, and I can't think of the pilot's name. The one guy on the left actually was the guy that played Luke in the last season of Mando at the end there, technically. But
oh, really?
Yeah, you couldn't really tell because of the mask. But,
right.
There was some great Easter eggs, and again, it was a great Mando episode. But the title said Book of Boba Fett, so I have a very big fundamental problem with it, and I'm very concerned of the characters somewhat being limp-wristed, somewhat not being imposing enough in some way.
Right.
He wants to be a crime lord, it's great, but sometimes you have to put your foot down too. And we're not seeing that enough, and it's really unfortunate. So I'm worried that this will continue to tarnish the character. There's been some great moments in this series, some great Easter eggs. I love how Filoni loves to call back. You know, a lot of people can use the easy out and just make callbacks to the original trilogy. The set piece looks like the original trilogy, so you don't need to, but he makes callback to the Clone Wars and to the prequels because that's where his most hand was. So overall, it was a great episode. It was not a great Book of Boba Fett episode. It's very unfortunate.
It's so weird because it is. It's a great episode, but it's not a good look for the Book of Boba Fett.
And yes, that was the Bunta Eve track basically. Well, he goes through Beggar's Canyon, which is, you know, shit. Luke mentioned that using his T-16 Skyhopper in New Hope, but Beggar's Canyon always gets a little.
So here's my last question to you, dude. Do you think the way this played out so far? Do you think the Book of Boba Fett is even going to be a multi-season show?
I think,
or do you think they're just this episode almost
originally the series?
Yeah,
I think the series they had mentioned was supposed to be like a limited one-time run.
Because I feel like the minute Mando showed up and got a whole episode, it was like their focus is not on Boba Fett.
I think
this is a one-off, and that's it.
That is also fine. If this is just like a filler or a glue to kind of bring in some more character.
They could have done a lot better than this.
Yeah, give him some after everything happened, just progress the whatever. That's fine. But the problem is that they didn't do a good enough job explaining the character story or giving him that fucking development.
Right.
And it needs to be a little bit more on the nose apparently, because all the other things are on the nose in this fucking series, and but yeah, I was pretty annoyed with that today, and I still am, because we got 2 episodes left.
And the last question I want to ask you is, like, do you think? Now, look, I don't want to get nitpicky. Like, I love a lot of the stuff that Disney Plus has done. Do you think the limited episodes are going to become a problem going forward? I mean, some of these shows are 10 episodes, but now we're starting to see Disney Plus roll out like 6 episodes. I mean, especially, I guess, the length of the shows themselves.
Right.
If you're doing 6 episodes, I'm like, I hope they're like an hour. Or a little bit more.
This was 50 fucking minutes.
It's 50 minutes, but I mean, even then, those previous episodes weren't even close to 50 minutes. I mean, they were shorter than that.
Right.
But like, do you think the fact that a lot of these shows are going limited is going to hamper the effect to make these shows more fleshed out? I mean, yeah. Essentially, you look at something like I'm trying to think of a show that ran like 10 episodes that really gave it time to like flesh things out. Now you're going back to that, 6 episodes. That's almost like, okay, now you're moving into movie territory.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
You're going into a big movie that's basically
cut up,
right? Which I'm fine on that, because all the other stuff we've seen so far has been pretty good.
Right.
Like, it might not be the best, it might not be as good as maybe an MCU movie, but I would still you can still flesh out more with the character. You still have more time with these characters.
Sure.
Look at Falcon Winter Soldier. It was really a big 2-part Captain America movie, or whatever, 6 episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got a lot of character development out of those characters. Loki was only 7 episodes, maybe 8 at most. So they can still do that. The problem is that they gotta fucking focus on the character. You could have done that with this character. Like, I feel like it needed a good balance of, like, again, maybe a big flashback, the first episode, maybe even the second one. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we should have gotten to the 3rd episode, and it should have been, we're focusing on the present and moving forward now.
Sure.
So that's how that should have gone. So if they're gonna do the flashbacks. They're not giving this character enough post Sarlacc pit to make it worth even raising him from the quote unquote dead at this point. I mean, it's nice to have him around, sure, but like, does that mean that he's going to be in Mando's going down the further down the road, or in anything else? I don't know. If he is, then maybe that's okay. But they're not doing what they should have done with this, because his name's on it, and he's not really been getting the tale that he should be told. Not to mention the fact we've gotten some really campy bullshit that people are hit or miss on.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, we're getting some great Easter eggs in this series, but we're just not getting what I believe is good storytelling. And it's very weird, because the track record of all these people involved is pretty big. Worst Boba Fett episode. One of the best Mando episodes.
Again, it's just not a good look for Boba Fett.
It really isn't, and that's really extra frustrating for me. Listen, again, I'm still enjoying the series overall, but I'm also trying to be realistic about it, because at the same time, like I always say, if you don't have the ability to criticize and critique the things you like, then I don't know how much I can carry about the opinions about the things you just don't like at all.
I feel you. No, we'll have to see where it goes, man. We have 2 episodes left. A lot of things can happen in 50 minutes, as long as they give it the attention it deserves and the respect it deserves. I think, honestly, man, we're heading to that territory where I think this is just going to be a controversial series to fans of the character. I mean, some people are going to love it, some people are just simply not going to like the way they handled it, based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Could they get things back on track in 2 episodes? Absolutely. I mean, we don't know. But right now, you've gone through 4 episodes where uneven storytelling, controversial decisions, to a full-on Mando episode. Like, that's worrisome.
Yeah,
that's worrisome. So, and how much of a part is Mando going to play in the remaining episodes? Obviously, they're bringing Mando in. Is it going to be more Mando overshadowing Boba? I mean, there's a lot of concern I have so far going forward.
Because use Mando to platform Mando. Why are we using Boba Fett to platform Mando? Mando's already established at 2 seasons. And again, I'm going to say, this timeline is real sticky because they just clearly. I mean, that's a Star Wars thing, though. Very honestly, I mean, you look at between Empire and Jedi, and there's so much space in there, and you're just like, oh, it's 2 or 3 years later, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't. That's not always great storytelling because there is things that people want to fill in the blanks. And now that we have the internet, social media, and super fans over 30, 40 years, we're gonna put a micro or a magnifying glass on that, and a comb, and we're gonna go through it pretty seriously. So. It's just weird to see Filoni and Favreau kind of slip on this one when it's supposed to be a character everybody's excited about, and they're falling flat on it. And gosh, I don't know. Like the timeline. Listen, the last thing I want to say, and it was just kind of a really cool scene, probably one of the best scenes in this episode. Very honestly, was that we did get to see a live action Mandalore in some way, getting bombed the shit out of TIE bombers, which I'm a super fan of. But that very homage to Terminator 2 with the KS-2O
yes.
droids coming through and the probe droids was
magnifique.